Hey y'all, welcome to Bourbon and Bikinis. My name is Amanda and I am here today to tell you about my recent trip to Kentucky, all my do's and don'ts, and just a general synopsis of my experience so you can get an idea of what to expect if you're planning a trip or if you've been there before and you want to experience some new things. So my trip was kind of sudden. I got the opportunity to experience the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and if you don't know what that is, it is a 3-day bourbon festival where upwards of 50 brands and distilleries come together to do tastings, talks, educational sessions, and there's live music. There's a lot of great fun experiences there at the festival. Like I said, it is 3 days, and ours was Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the middle of September. The festival is located in Bardstown, Kentucky, which is just a short drive from either Louisville or Lexington, kind of depending on where you're located and what makes it easier to travel to. We did fly in the day before the festival, and we flew into Louisville because we wanted to experience a few distilleries while we were out there. We landed at 10 o'clock in the morning, went straight to Old Forester, and then quickly went to Angel's Envy and then the bar at Michter's, and hit up Peerless for a couple of their distillery-only bottles. So that day we left. We literally had been there for 4 hours and we already had 4 bottles in the car. Highly recommend renting a car. There's not a whole lot of public transportation. Even if you're just in Louisville, it's a lot of travel back and forth, and it's a lot easier if you have your own mode of transportation. I feel like there aren't as many Lyfts or Ubers or anything like that, just because it is kind of like that smaller town vibe. After we spent that afternoon in Louisville, we hopped in the car and drove straight to Bardstown. Like I said, it's really quick, 30-45 minute drive, really beautiful, really scenic. And we actually stayed at a little place called the Distill Inn, which was really fun because it's kind of themed towards distilleries. All of the wall ornaments and hooks and things were all barrel staves, and there was whiskey motifs everywhere throughout the hotel. They had fresh coffee all the time. They had filtered water, and then they had a continental breakfast. So that was really fun. We decided every morning we were going to get up and head to a different distillery so that we could enjoy our first trip to Bardstown before we hit the festival. The Distill Inn was only about 7 minutes away from the main festival grounds, right in downtown Bardstown, so everything's close together, so it makes it really easy to get around. Like I said, especially if you have your own car. We were able to find parking for free on the street every single day of the festival, and it was a really easy experience for navigational purposes. If you are VIP, you do get to enter the festival an hour before everybody else. So I highly recommend you take advantage of this, especially on day 1, because a lot of distilleries will have great single barrel picks that they brought in for the festival only. Those will typically run out of samples by the end of day 1. You might have a chance to get it early day 2, but typically if you're going for single barrels, if you want to experience specific distillery single barrels, find those at the festival, figure out where they are, and go to them first, especially if you're there in that first hour, if you're doing VIP for that kind of soft open, because the lines do get super long. The festival kind of split into 2 main areas, the major distilleries and then the craft road distilleries, which aren't necessarily small distilleries, but they're maybe newer, less well known. And they have a lot of really fun products. They're really excited. They have really cool marketing. Probably about 75 to 80% of my festival favorites were found in the craft road area. So highly recommend checking that out. Take your time to go and talk to everybody. There's master distillers there, master blenders, company founders, owners, CEOs, so you get a really good experience and you really get to enjoy meeting people in the industry that you probably never would, at least not all in the same weekend. So that was an amazing experience. The distilleries we visited while we were actually in Bardstown included Willett. They have a delicious restaurant bar on the top floor. Highly recommend a reservation. I was lucky enough to get a walk-in since it was still early in the day, but I almost didn't get that opportunity. They have some great cocktails. You can also try a lot of their different bourbons and whiskeys. The store is downstairs, and if you're lucky enough, you can actually maybe get a purple top dropping the day you're there, but don't be like me and get there late. We didn't know about it until after the fact, but they had dropped purple top that morning at MSRP at the distillery the morning we came in for our lunch. So really sad I didn't get that at MSRP, because who doesn't love purple top at a good price? But they had a great selection of food. I really loved their egg salad sandwich. Everything we got was really delicious. We just shared everything, and it was really quick, beautiful bite before we headed into the festival for day 2. The other distilleries we visited in the area were Lux Row, where we did a really nice tasting. We did Heaven Hill Distilleries. We did the Bottle Your Own experience. I bottled their barrel proof Elijah Craig, and my husband bottled their Heaven Hill Select Stock, which is really cool because I've never seen their Select Stock before, and apparently once you bottle one of them in a year, you cannot bottle the select stock again until like the next year's release comes out. Luxro had beautiful grounds. We were able to see one of the rick houses, and until you're in a rick house at one of these major distilleries, you do not comprehend the amount of barrels that each one contains. And so seeing this, I swear it was at least a 3 or 4 story building, if not more, thousands of barrels, and a really cool system to get them like moved around and shifted and replaced and rolled and things like that as needed. And whenever someone selects a barrel, there's like a whole like trolley system and the rails that you can roll the barrels out on until you get to the elevator. It was absolutely gorgeous. A lot of times I think a tasting was more time conscious for us, so we were able to go in, taste a lot of the products, decide if the ones we already thought were our favorites actually were before either buying a bottle or maybe trying something new. We also visited the Bardstown Bourbon Company, and they probably had one of the most beautiful rick houses that I've ever seen because they actually have one of their like showstoppers right in the front, and it's a full-size rick house with a beautiful like glass, like full glass front and their logo over a beautiful field, and it just was like a really cool first impression. We just went to their little tasting bar, had a few pours, and then we were able to go into lunch at their restaurant, and it was really delicious. I got their chicken sandwich, and ultimately, like, if you like good food and maybe you're okay with sharing because the portions are really big, I highly recommend. And it's quick. Once again, always recommend reservations at these places, especially the big ones at the distilleries. In downtown Bardstown, there were a few restaurants that we got recommendations to go visit. One of them being Mamies, which was a super nice, like home-cooked, southern, big portions restaurant. They have live music on the patio out front, and this was like 2 blocks away from the festival, and we didn't know that until we had gotten there the next day. We realized we were driving by Mamies like every day. Also loved Bardstown Burger. It's right downtown, right next to the Blind Pig. Really cool liquor store, but to me it kind of comes across as more of a museum because like the prices are pretty high. If you are looking across the street, there is another liquor store called Evergreen Liquors, and they had a beautiful bar where you can try a lot of those like heavy hitters. We were able to try like King of Kentucky. They have the King of Kentucky 18 year. They have Eagle 17, Eagle Double Eagle. So there's a lot of really fun things to try there, and they have a great selection, and the prices are a little bit better too. I do think you have a better selection at maybe some of the other stores that are more expensive, but Evergreen had a really great one for the prices. And right around the corner of that, there's a little bar called the Volstead Lounge, which has an awesome selection of bottles to try as well. And we snuck in for a tasting with one of the distillers. One thing that I highly, highly recommend is when you do go and you do rent a car, don't let it be an electric car. We rented an electric car, and the drive was fine around Louisville, but once you got to Bardstown, the only place we found a charger was downtown by a gas station that was actually cordoned off for a festival event, and we had to like beg the police officers to let us park our car for like 30 minutes so we can get a little bit of charge to get back to the one that was closer to our hotel. I believe it was the Spring Hill Inn and Suites that had an electric car charger right out front. But I recommend if you're going to try and charge your car there, get back a little bit earlier in the afternoon because everyone else is charging their car as well. We actually ended up also having to cancel our flights back home because we collected too many bottles while we were in town. So if there's any chance that you're going to potentially buy too much that you wouldn't necessarily be able to fly home safely, just drive yourself, or just get a one-way ticket and rent a car back. That way you're a lot more likely to be able to transport your bottles home safely. But please let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to talk more about this and share more in-depth experiences. But subscribe to my channel. Welcome to Bourbon and Bikinis, and I'm really looking forward to sharing reviews and blind tastings and just like my experience in the spirits world. And like I said, my name is Amanda, and I'm really excited to be here. Cheers.